The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the African savanna. The vast landscape stretched as far as the eye could see, dotted with acacia trees swaying gently in the warm breeze. Tall grasses whispered secrets to one another, while colorful birds flitted from branch to branch, filling the air with their cheerful songs. This was a thriving ecosystem, alive with movement and sound. In the heart of this beautiful savanna flowed a shimmering river, its waters sparkling under the sunlight like a ribbon of diamonds. The riverbank was framed by lush greenery, providing shade and sanctuary for many creatures. Crocodiles basked lazily on sun-soaked rocks, while herds of antelope grazed peacefully on the banks nearby. If you enjoy this video, please like the video and subscribe for more. And tell me where you are watching from today. I always find it awesome to see where all my viewers are watching from. Let's get back to the video. The river offered not only a source of life, but also a gathering place where animals came to drink and cool off during the hot day. Among these creatures was a proud lioness, known to the other animals as Nia. She roamed this land with grace, her golden fur blending perfectly with the tawny grasses. Nia was not just any lioness. She was pregnant and preparing to welcome new life into the world. Her belly was round and heavy, a sign of both strength and vulnerability. She spent her days wandering the savanna, searching for food to nourish herself and her unborn cubs. Nisa had always been a skilled hunter, but being pregnant made her movements slower and more cautious. She had to carefully choose her moments to chase after prey, while keeping in mind that every step counted for both her and her little ones. Despite her determination, it was becoming increasingly difficult to find enough food. Nia's once majestic body felt strained as she panted from exhaustion during her hunts. As twilight approached, a warm glow enveloped the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Nia made her way toward the riverbank once more, hoping to find some reprieve from her weary journey. She stepped onto soft mud along the water's edge, where reeds swayed gracefully with the current. The sound of water trickling over rocks brought a sense of calm, momentarily lifting her spirits. Suddenly, just as Nia reached for a drink from the clear water, she felt weak and dizzy from fatigue. With each passing moment, she fought to remain steady on her feet. But soon enough, she succumbed to exhaustion. Nia collapsed onto the bank with a soft thud, the gentle rush of the water around her contrasting sharply with her stillness. Nature continued its dance around her. Nearby animals paused in their routines, sensing that something was wrong but unsure how to react. A group of warthogs snorted nervously as they watched from behind tall grass. They could see that this lioness was not just any predator. She was vulnerable now. As shadows deepened with nightfall approaching quickly, insects buzzed through the air while crickets began their evening chorus. The peaceful sound surrounding Nia underscored how alone she felt at that moment. Fear rippled through her thoughts as she lay there. What if no one came? What if I cannot protect my future cubs? Though she remained still at the riverbank's edge, everything around her pulsed with life. The soft rustle of leaves in the wind grew more pronounced against her silence. It was in this moment of desperation that fate would soon intervene when an unexpected figure appeared on the horizon. A stranger who would play an essential role in Nia's story at just the right moment. Little did either know that this meeting would change everything for them both. Nia lay on the soft, muddy riverbank, her breaths coming in labored gasps. The golden sun dipped lower in the sky, but she didn't have the strength to appreciate its fading beauty. Instead, her mind raced with worry. Her pregnancy had taken a toll, draining her energy as each day felt longer than the last. Inside her, the tiny lives fluttered, reminding her of the responsibility she bore. Being pregnant was both a blessing and a burden. While she was thrilled to have cubs soon, it also made every task more challenging. Nia used to be a fierce huntress, capable and agile, darting through the tall grass with ease. But now, her body felt heavy and cumbersome. She had to be strategic about her movements and choose her hunts wisely, for every exertion cost her precious energy that she could no longer afford to waste. As she tried to rise from the riverbank, she felt her muscles quiver beneath her heavy belly. It was frustrating to realize how much she relied on instinctual strength that was now dulled by fatigue. Each step felt like a mountain she had to climb. Navigating the terrain of the savannah was no longer effortless. Finding food became increasingly dire. At one time, Nia roamed the land with confidence, stalking the tasty antelope that grazed nearby or fleeing on quick feet from unexpected predators. However, with each passing day, prey seemed as elusive as a shadow in the dusky light. Other animals sensed her vulnerability and avoided confrontation. Even the daring warthogs, who once taunted her, had begun keeping their distance. Hunger gnawed at her insides like a relentless predator stalking its prey. She had already spent hours searching for food that day, and many of those hours had yielded nothing but disappointment. It was exhausting work for an already weary lioness. Wishing to conserve energy for her growing cubs, Nia found herself eating less and less. The cycle was cruel. Without enough food, she lacked strength. But without strength, hunting became an almost impossible task. Each time she attempted to chase down a meal, fatigue set in, all too quickly for eager prey to slip through her paws. The last time she had successfully caught anything was well over about a week ago. It still lingered in her memory like a bittersweet dream. As twilight dimmed and night approached, hunger clawed at her stomach, making it hard to focus on anything else. Safety came into question too. In these vulnerable moments, lying helpless at the edge of the river, made Nia acutely aware of lurking dangers. Other predators like hyenas or leopards could easily take advantage of her weakened state. If they caught sight of her in this moment of stillness, it could spell disaster for both her and her unborn cubs. Nia's gaze drifted toward the horizon as dusk settled in like a blanket of stars above. Yet the serene beauty of nature around her hardly registered amid her fears. If something did happen to her before she could give birth, what would become of her cubs? She longed for safety and protection while feeling isolated from any being who might offer help. The fact that Nia's predicament was not just about survival, but also about motherhood intensified her struggles. Visions of tiny paws prancing beside her filled her mind. She dreamed of nurturing them under the vast African sky and teaching them how to fend for themselves one day. But for now, all that hope felt distant as exhaustion overwhelmed her senses. In this raw moment of despair, she felt connected to everything around her. The rush of water flowing beside her, the rustle of grass in the wind, the distant calls of other creatures greeting nightfall together. With every breath, Nia hoped that help would come, that maybe someone or something would emerge from the shadows and alter the course of fate for both mother and cubs. Nia lay at the riverbank, her golden fur glistening in the fading light of the sun. The gentle sound of water flowing nearby offered a soothing melody, but it did little to ease the turmoil within her. Weary and drained, she struggled to lift her head, feeling the weight of her heavy belly pull her down into the soft earth. Each breath was a reminder of her fragility, and the world around her felt both beautiful and cruel. As twilight deepened, an overwhelming wave of exhaustion washed over Nia. Her body trembled as she tried to push herself up once again, but her limbs felt like lead. Just moments earlier, she had thought about how close she was to finding relief. A sip of cool water from the river could bring comfort. But now, that simple goal seemed unreachable as fatigue consumed her strength. Her heart raced with anxiety as she glanced around, noticing the shadows creeping longer in the golden grass. The quiet savanna suddenly felt menacing. Every rustle in the bushes hinted at danger. Nia's instinct to protect her unborn cubs kicked in fiercely, yet she lacked the power to act upon it. She took a deep breath, hoping for a surge of energy to help her rise, but instead felt a wave of dizziness pass through her. She blinked slowly, trying to focus on her surroundings. The vibrant colors of dusk began to blur together as darkness approached. With each passing moment, the weight of her exhaustion pressed down harder upon her. Nia's body began to tremble uncontrollably. She felt like a marionette whose strings had been cut. Her vision dimmed as fatigue took hold, and despite her fierce spirit, she could no longer fight against it. In an instant that felt both eternal and fleeting, Nia collapsed onto the damp earth beside the riverbank with a soft thud. The sound seemed insignificant against the backdrop of rustling leaves and chirping crickets that filled the night air. Vulnerable and exposed, she lay there with her belly touching the cool ground, a perfect picture of helplessness in a world that often demanded strength. The river continued its gentle flow beside her, oblivious to the lioness's plight. Crickets resumed their nightly concert while fireflies began to dance above her still form, their flickering lights contrasting sharply with Nia's silence. Nearby animals, who had sensed something amiss, paused in their activities, their instincts warning them of potential danger lurking close by. In that moment of collapse, time seemed to stretch endlessly for Nia. The thoughts racing through her mind turned into whispers. What will happen to my cubs? Can I protect them? The vivid dreams of tiny paws exploring the savanna with joy faded into shadows as doubt seeped into her heart. With each labored breath, she became more aware of how exposed she truly was. Lying here at dusk gave way to fears of predators lurking nearby. Hyenas or leopards might take notice of her vulnerability and attempt to claim their prize. Nia's heart raced at this terrifying thought as panic bubbled within her chest. But even amid despair and darkness, a flicker of hope remained, a desire for survival coursing through her veins like a lingering ember, fighting against the encroaching night. The instinctual will to protect not only herself, but also the lives growing inside her, pushed Nia's spirit beyond despair. Yet still, as she lay there on the riverbank, surrounded by whispers of nature and shadows dancing in the twilight, all she could do was wait. Wait for rescue or perhaps for a miracle that would alter this dire situation forever. Little did she know that tonight would indeed bring an unexpected visitor who would step into this story when she least expected it. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, a stranger walked along the path near the riverbank. This traveler, named Caleb, was an adventurous spirit with a heart filled with kindness. He had been exploring the savanna for weeks, captivated by its beauty and the stories of wildlife that echoed in the wind. With a satchel slung across his shoulder and a walking stick in hand, Caleb loved to immerse himself in nature, feeling at peace among its wonders. However, on this particular evening, something felt different. The air buzzed with anticipation as he meandered along the water's edge. Caleb was admiring the vibrant scenery when he noticed an unusual stillness that wrapped around him like a thick blanket. The sounds of chirping crickets began to fade into the background, and even the gentle rush of the river grew quieter. Curious, he paused and scanned his surroundings. It was then that he caught sight of Nia lying motionless on the ground near the riverbank. His heart raced at the unexpected sight. What could be wrong with this majestic lioness? Deciding to investigate further, he cautiously approached her, careful not to make any sudden movements that might startle her. As he got closer, his breath caught in his throat. Nia's golden fur shimmered softly in the fading light, but her stillness filled him with alarm. Caleb knelt beside her, his eyes scanning her body for any signs of distress. The lioness seemed exhausted, and it was clear she was in a serious state of vulnerability. He could see how heavy her belly was. She appeared to be pregnant and desperately needing help. A wave of concern washed over him as he considered what could have led her to this moment. Had she been hunting? Was she injured or ill? For a moment, he simply watched her, captivated by her beauty, yet burdened by her plight. This lioness was not just a creature of the wild. She was a mother-to-be, whose life depended on finding safety and support. Caleb felt an overwhelming urge to help, yet uncertainty gripped him. How could he assist a creature so powerful yet now so helpless? As he contemplated his next move, Caleb recalled tales of lionesses from local tribes, the fierce protectors of their young, known for their bravery and resilience. But as much as they were strong warriors, they were also nurturers at heart. In that instant, it dawned on him that compassion extended beyond species. It transcended fear. Taking a deep breath to steady his nerves, Caleb reached out a hand toward Nia, whispering softly in hopes of reassuring her. "It's okay, beautiful girl," he murmured gently. "I'm here to help you." He cautiously checked around for any signs of danger. After ensuring there were no lurking predators nearby, his focus returned to Nia. He quickly searched through his satchel for anything that could assist her. A piece of meat he had saved from his last meal would surely provide some nourishment if she could eat it. However, he hesitated again at the thought of approaching her with food. What if she was too weak or frightened to accept help? Feeling anxious, yet resolute, Caleb knew he had to try something. With his heart pounding in his chest, he placed the meat gently on the ground beside Nia while maintaining eye contact with her soft gaze. "You need this," he said soothingly. For several tense moments, time seemed to freeze as Nia remained still. Was she aware of his presence? Would she trust him? Caleb's heartbeat echoed loudly in his ears as he awaited a response. Finally, Nia lifted her head ever so slightly and turned her gaze toward the offering lying before her. The instinctual need for nourishment flashed in her eyes, even amidst exhaustion and fear. It was then that both traveler and lioness understood they were connected by circumstance. A fragile bond sparked by compassion and hope. With night settling around them like a protective shroud, their destinies intertwined under the vast African sky. Caleb felt more than just an observer. He sensed that tonight could change everything for both him and this extraordinary pregnant lioness in need of rescue. Caleb knelt beside Nia, a whirlwind of emotions swirling within him as he assessed the situation. The lioness lay vulnerable before him, her golden fur shimmering even in her weakened state. Compassion clashed with fear inside his heart, like two opposing forces. Could he really help her without risking his own safety? His mind raced through the potential dangers. Lions were powerful creatures known for their strength and predatory instincts. While Nia seemed exhausted and vulnerable now, what if she suddenly regained her energy and perceived him as a threat? Would she lash out in self-defense despite her current condition? Caleb gulped at the thought, visualizing sharp claws and teeth that could easily cause harm. Yet here was this magnificent creature before him, a mother-to-be who desperately needed support. The instinct to protect and nurture flickered within Caleb like a small flame against the darkness of doubt. Was it worth taking the risk to offer assistance when she appeared so helpless? He felt guilty even thinking about turning away. What if I don't help? He questioned himself, feeling the weight of indecision pressing down on him. If he left her there to fend for herself, what would that mean for her cubs? The thought churned in his stomach like a stone. The wild had its own rules, but Caleb believed in compassion, that animals deserved help just as humans did. Looking at Nia's weary face brought clarity to his thoughts. He could see the exhaustion etched into her features and the flicker of fear buried deep in her eyes. This wasn't just about him. This was about life. New life that was brimming within her despite all odds against it. A lioness struggling alone was more than an isolated wild animal. She represented hope for her future cubs who depended on their mother. Taking another deep breath, Caleb reminded himself that bravery sometimes meant stepping out of one's comfort zone. It was easy to be fearful from a distance, but true courage blossomed in actions inspired by empathy. That awareness sparked resolve inside him. He had ventured into this wild landscape seeking adventure, but found something even more profound, a chance to make a real difference. He glanced around cautiously, still alert to any potential threats nearby. The sun had fully set now, leaving stars to twinkle overhead while darkness settled like a blanket over the savannah. Though he felt vulnerable himself being out in nature with its wild inhabitants, he also sensed an undeniable pull toward Nia. Caleb reached into his satchel again, feeling around for that piece of meat he had saved earlier. It may not be much in terms of sustenance for such an impressive creature, but it was something. An offering from one living being to another during a moment of need. You need this, he whispered softly again, as if Nia could understand every word. As he placed the meat gently on the ground beside her once more, Caleb felt a surge of hope accompanied by adrenaline pumping through his veins. Would she respond? Would she accept his offering despite their differences? Moments ticked by slowly as they remained locked in their own worlds. The traveler bracing himself against uncertainty and fear, while the lioness lay silent yet watchful before him. Time felt stretched thin with anticipation hanging heavily between them until finally, a slight lift of Nia's head gave him pause. Could it be? Her gaze swept toward the food laid before her, with an unmistakable glint of instinctual recognition shining through fatigue. An opening for connection forged through compassion amidst uncertainty. Caleb held his breath as that spark ignited within him. Maybe this night would mark the beginning of an extraordinary bond between traveler and lioness. One born out of profound respect for life itself against all odds. With his heart pounding in his chest, Caleb steadied himself for the next step. He knew he couldn't just spring into action. He had to approach Nia with utter care and respect, fully aware that even the most gentle of movements could startle her. The shadows of night surrounded them, adding to the weight of the moment. But Caleb felt a resolve within him that pushed away any lingering hesitation. Taking a deep breath, he shifted his weight slightly and began to move. Each step was deliberate and slow, allowing him to gauge Nia's reactions carefully. He kept his body low to the ground, crouching as if to lessen his stature before her regal form. His goal was not only to keep himself safe, but also to make sure this fragile moment did not turn into panic for Nia. He focused on making eye contact with her, rewarding himself each time he saw her look in his direction. As he padded softly across the grass, he whispered gentle words to fill the air around them with warmth. "You're going to be all right," he said softly, his voice smooth like silk under the starlit sky. "I'm here to help you." Caleb noticed how Naya fluttered her ears at the sound of his voice, but remained still. Just breathing in her presence felt surreal. Here lay a powerful creature who was now weakened by exhaustion and circumstances beyond her control. He couldn't help but admire her beauty, the smooth curves of her body, and the graceful movement of her head as she turned slightly toward him. Cautiously approaching closer, Caleb scanned their surroundings continually, ensuring they were alone beneath the shimmer of twinkling stars above. Every rustle from the grass field ignited instinct in both human and lioness alike. A reminder that they were part of a wild world filled with unpredictability. It would have been easy for fear to overwhelm him again. Instead, every note from nature urged him forward with compassion, fueling his heart. He reached Nia's side and dropped down onto one knee so that they were level with each other, the tension in his muscles betraying how aware he was of their differences in size and strength. He extended one hand slowly towards her face, while keeping the other close by with food placed gently on the ground beside them. "Please don't be afraid," he continued softly as he moved deliberately closer without intruding upon Nia's space. For what felt like an eternity, Caleb held his breath as uncertainty washed over him, the tension crackling like electricity between them. Naya's large amber eyes flickered toward him again, studying this newcomer who had lumbered into her world without warning. There were moments where fear sparkled within those depths, yet there was also curiosity glimmering through, an animal instinct that sought understanding rather than aggression. That flicker told Caleb everything he needed to know. She yearned for reassurance too. His heartbeat softened slightly as a deep sense of connection formed between them through unspoken understanding, a shared silence within turbulence, that both recognized danger had come close, yet hope still loomed just ahead. Every small movement lent grace to their encounter. When he placed food beside her once more, it carried an offering of trust between earthbound beings united amidst difficult times. Would she accept what he offered? Would she find solace not just in nourishment, but through companionship in this complex landscape? Caleb felt sheer determination wash over him. He didn't want this chance at connection or caring for Nia to slip away unnoticed. Time seemed dissolved into whispers as they maintained their delicate proximity, while uncertainty hung like a veil around them. The lioness presenting challenges, yet promising future joys, alongside vulnerability cascading between them both. As stars danced above amid vastness, stretching endlessly around them, hope ignited through encouragement spoken from gentle words floating lightly on night air. The spirit harbored within kind hearts could reach beyond barriers set by nature. And maybe tonight would see something remarkable unfold between two unlikely souls brought together by fate itself. Caleb knelt beside Nia, his mind racing as he took in the fullness of her condition. The lioness's rounded belly was a clear sign of her pregnancy, a beautiful reminder of the life she carried within her. But that very beauty was overshadowed by the gravity of her situation. This was not just any moment in the savannah. It was one marked by urgency. Naya lay there vulnerable, and it was clear that she needed immediate help. He observed her closely, searching for signs of distress. Nia's breathing came in shallow gasps, each intake laboring against the weight of fatigue. Her once proud head hung low, and Caleb could see the flicker of fear in her amber eyes as they darted toward him. She was aware of his presence, but held back by exhaustion. It pained him to witness such a magnificent creature reduced to this state, and he felt the responsibility weighing heavily on his shoulders. Caleb reached out slowly, his fingers brushing against the soft fur on Nia's side. He noted her shivering frame, which contrasted with the warm evening air. This softness signified both vulnerability and a fierce spirit fighting to survive. It dawned on him just how precarious her condition truly was. Her pregnancy made every action more difficult, and without immediate assistance, her cubs faced an uncertain future. As he assessed her situation, Caleb realized that nurturing instincts were intertwined with urgency. Time did not stand still. The night pressed on. There were predators lurking nearby, always ready to seize an opportunity. He had to act quickly while honoring Nia's need for calmness amidst uncertainty. The instinct to act kicked in as he felt a surge of determination. He stood up briefly, scanning the area around them for anything he could use. A way to help the lioness regain her strength, or even signage for other wildlife experts who might be nearby. The savanna stretched endlessly around them under a blanket of twinkling stars. But here, right here, was a situation requiring quick thinking and decisive action. Caleb returned to his kneeling position, looking into Nia's eyes once more. "I'll do whatever I can to help you," he promised softly, feeling that their connection deepened with every passing second. He recalled the piece of meat he had set down earlier. It would serve as nourishment and an offering of trust between them. Gently pressing the food closer to Nia, Caleb began to speak again, sharing words he hoped would comfort her during this difficult time. "You're strong," he said, wanting her to know that despite her current weakness, there was strength within her that would prevail. Strength meant for both herself and her growing cubs. Caleb remembered learning about lions from local guides. Lionesses were revered not only for their hunting skills, but also for their unwavering determination to care for their young ones. He knew that if she could manage to eat even a little, it would strengthen her resolve and provide essential energy during this critical point. He watched intently as Nia sniffed at the food hesitantly, curiosity battling against caution in her body language. Each small movement she made spoke volumes. The flicker of interest in her gaze reignited hope within him. "You're going to be okay," Caleb reassured once more, speaking earnestly through the bond they were beginning to forge despite their numerous differences. Nia's delicate features seemed strained yet willing. With each passing moment spent together under starlit protection, they navigated uncharted territory fueled by compassion, intertwined with vulnerability. A fragile alliance born from necessity, yet blossoming into something deeper. As shadows began to stretch longer and night enveloped them further into its embrace, Caleb couldn't help but wonder what fate had led him here. Was this the moment he had been searching for all along? A chance encounter that could change both their lives forever? Every breath he took mingled with anticipation. The savanna breathed around them too, reminding him that life continued forward, even amid uncertainty. The traveler had assessed more than just Nia's physical state. He understood now that they shared a critical journey together. Two souls converging beneath an infinite sky, where hope still flickered brightly against darkness waiting outside. Caleb remained kneeling beside Nia, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down upon him like a heavy stone. The night had settled deep around them, and the sounds of the savanna began to take on an ominous tone. Although he felt a strong bond with the lioness, he knew that his limited knowledge and experience would not be enough to provide her with the care she desperately needed. It was time to seek help. Looking over his shoulder, Caleb scanned the horizon where he remembered spotting the nearby village earlier in his travels. He recalled tales from other explorers about local villagers who had not only coexisted with wildlife, but had also developed an understanding of how to care for injured animals and protect their communities from potential danger. They possessed knowledge that he lacked, wisdom built on generations of living alongside these magnificent creatures. Without hesitating, Caleb made up his mind. He could not bear the thought of Nia suffering without proper care or help. He stood up slowly, remaining attuned to Nia's reactions as he did so. His heart raced again, but not out of fear this time. It was intent driving him forward. "Help is coming," he reassured her softly, though he was unsure if she would comprehend his words. Caleb took one final glance at Nia, focusing on her weakened state before turning toward the direction of the village. "Stay here. I'll be right back," he urged with urgency, hoping she could sense his sincerity. He began moving away from her, stepping carefully through the tall grass, unable to shake the image of Nia's vulnerable form from his mind. With every step, he felt her presence lingering, an anchor pulling him back as he ventured forth into the darkness beyond. The moon illuminated his path as shadows danced among the trees and rocks, but Caleb pressed on determinedly. As he traversed the land, thoughts whirled in his head. What if Nia did not last long? What if he arrived too late? The weight of such thoughts propelled him faster across the uneven terrain. He knew he needed to reach the villagers quickly, but not too recklessly. Fear could easily blind him to potential dangers hidden along the way. Finally, emerging from a thicket of bushes, Caleb spotted flickering lights in the distance, the glow of lanterns hanging outside huts signifying life and community. Relief washed over him like a gentle wave. As he approached, memories of friendly faces from previous journeys came flooding back. Smiling villagers who shared laughter and spoke of mutual respect for nature and its inhabitants. Caleb hurried toward one of the huts, knocking softly against a wooden door bearing scars from seasons gone by. Almost instantly, a familiar face appeared. Amina, a wise woman known for her deep understanding of wildlife. Her eyes widened in surprise at seeing Caleb there so close to nightfall. "Caleb, what brings you here?" she asked with curiosity etched into her features. "There's a lioness in need," Caleb replied without hesitation, finding strength in his urgency as words tumbled forth. "She collapsed near the riverbank. She's pregnant and exhausted. I think she needs immediate help." Before even hearing more specifics, Amina understood well how significant this was. A lioness endangered was never just a solitary event. It echoed through ecosystems as lives hung in balance, both human and animal alike. "I'll gather some villagers," Amina declared resolutely, urgency igniting in her expression as she quickly stepped back into her home to fetch others who might assist them. Caleb felt a flicker of hope growing within him, knowing that soon help would arrive. As Amina called out for others to join them in their mission, whispers began dancing through neighboring huts, the sound rippling along through twilight like flickering flames ready to rise into action. With seconds turning into minutes filled with purpose and anticipation, Caleb remained focused on what they would need once they reached Nia. The very resources that would ensure her safety and survival, brought together by community spirit, woven alongside compassion, offered freely from hearts brave enough to confront nature when it beckoned. As they prepared to leave together for the riverbank under shimmering stars, Caleb reflected warmly on all they might accomplish united for one extraordinary lioness, fighting against odds unimaginable. Hope blossomed within each purposeful step, while shadows receded just slightly within him. Reminders echoing life continued forward even amid uncertainty. as Amina gathered the villagers. Caleb felt a wave of relief wash over him. He had known instinctively that the community would rise to the occasion. And now they stood together, united by a common purpose to help Nia, the pregnant lioness in need. The flickering lanterns illuminated their eager faces, each member showing readiness to lend a hand, an embodiment of compassion that transcended species. Amina stepped forward, commanding attention with her strong presence. "We need to devise a plan to transport her safely," she began, her voice steady. "Caleb, share with us what you observed about her condition." Caleb nodded and recounted everything he had seen. Nia's exhaustion, her rounded belly indicating her pregnancy, and the fact that she lay vulnerable near the riverbank. "She needs medical attention soon," he emphasized. "If we can keep her calm and transport her carefully, it could make all the difference." The villagers exchanged serious glances before Amina outlined their plan of action. "First, we must approach her slowly to avoid startling her. It's essential that we do not give her any reason to feel threatened." The group collectively agreed on this approach. They knew that calming Nia would be vital for a successful rescue operation. Amina suggested they bring blankets and soft ropes to create a makeshift harness to lift Nia gently. "We'll need to work quickly, but carefully," she added. "A lioness can be formidable even when weakened." Caleb listened intently as the plan took shape. The villagers decided to form two teams, one to approach and comfort Nia, while the other prepared for transport. They also agreed to carry additional food and water for her, providing sustenance during the journey. "Let's ensure that we have enough strong hands," one villager suggested. "We should aim to lift her without physically struggling against her weight." Amina nodded in agreement. They needed coordination and teamwork to execute the plan successfully. After securing enough villagers willing to assist, the group moved toward Nia under the cover of night. Each step carefully calculated as they approached the riverbank where she lay resting. Caleb felt his heart race with anticipation and concern. He desperately wanted Nia to respond positively. Upon reaching the site where Nia rested, Amina signaled for everyone to pause at a safe distance. She crouched low and beckoned Caleb forward as he prepared to speak soothingly to Nia once more. "Remember our aim," Amina whispered to Caleb as they edged closer together. "We want to make sure she knows we are here with kindness." With careful movements, Caleb crouched beside Nia again, his gaze steadying on the gentle rise and fall of her breathing. "It's all right, sweet girl," he murmured softly, placing a hand on the ground near her languid head. "Help is here. You're not alone anymore." Nia stirred slightly, but remained largely still. The villagers then started creating a calm atmosphere around her, a few softly singing traditional songs, while others offered gentle words of comfort in hushed tones. Once Nia seemed responsive enough, Amina signaled for them to initiate their plan. Team members began moving into position to fashion soft blankets around Nia, while others prepared the ropes for lifting. "On my count," Amina directed as everyone aligned themselves optimally for their task ahead. 1, 2, 3. As one unit, they lifted Nia gently but firmly, using the blankets as support, striving to minimize any strain on her tired body. Caleb's heart raced as he helped guide her upward alongside Amina and the others. He could see Nia startle briefly, but then relax into their embrace. With coordinated effort, they carefully transported her away from the riverbank toward an area where medical assistance awaited. One where a wildlife expert was ready to provide care and attention specifically tailored for pregnant animals in distress. The journey unfolded smoothly amidst echoed voices of encouragement, while stars twinkled overhead, like beacons guiding them forth towards safety and healing. Together, they trekked through the vast expanse of savanna, a resilient band empowered by compassion and hope, knowing that every step taken united them closer toward a shared purpose, ensuring Nia's survival and nurturing life within her against all odds set by nature itself. The night air was thick with tension and determination as the villagers gathered around Nia, the pregnant lioness. Amina took charge, her voice steady and commanding, as she reminded everyone of the importance of teamwork. "We must move quickly and carefully," she instructed, her eyes scanning the group to ensure everyone was ready. "Remember, our goal is to lift her gently and minimize any stress." Caleb stood by Nia's side, his heart pounding in sync with the urgency of the moment. He could see her watching them with cautious eyes, a mixture of fear and curiosity in her expression. "Stay calm, Nia," he whispered softly, hoping to reassure her as much as himself. "We're here to help you." Amina divided the villagers into two teams. One would focus on calming Nia, while the other prepared the makeshift harness. Caleb joined the team approaching Nia, wanting to remain close to her as they executed their rescue plan. As they moved closer, he noticed the flicker of apprehension in her eyes, but also something deeper, a glimmer of trust. The villagers began singing softly, their harmonious voices filling the air with soothing melodies. This was an age-old tradition used to calm animals in distress, and it seemed to work as Nia relaxed slightly under their gentle approach. Caleb knelt down beside her again, softly stroking her fur while murmuring words of encouragement. "You're doing great, girl. Just a little longer." With Amina's signal, the second team moved into action, carefully wrapping soft blankets around Nia's body to create a supportive harness. The villagers worked together seamlessly, their hands moving with purpose as they adjusted the blankets to ensure Nia felt secure rather than confined. Caleb could see that they were making every effort to keep her calm during this critical moment. "On my count," Amina announced, gathering everyone's attention. 1, 2, 3. With careful coordination, they lifted Nia gently from the ground. Caleb felt a rush of adrenaline as he helped guide her upward. He could see the muscles in her body tensing for just a moment before she surrendered to their support. They had successfully lifted her into their embrace without causing alarm or distress. "Keep your voices low and steady," Amina reminded them as they began to move. "We need to maintain a soothing environment." As they carried Nia through the savanna, a sense of camaraderie blossomed among the villagers. Each step taken was not just a physical effort, but also an emotional one. They were united by a shared purpose, overcoming fear and uncertainty together for the sake of this magnificent creature and her unborn cubs. Caleb felt his own strength waver at times under Nia's weight, but he was bolstered by the collective energy of those around him. The stars twinkled above like watchful guardians as they trekked through the darkness, illuminating their path toward hope and healing. "Almost there," he murmured to Nia as they navigated through tall grasses and rocky terrain. "Just hang in there." With every stride, he could feel a connection forming, not just between him and Nia, but also expanding among all who were involved in this rescue mission. As they approached the area designated for medical attention, Caleb's heart swelled with hope. He could see the outline of a small tent set up by wildlife experts eager to assist in any way possible. The sight filled him with renewed determination. They were close to giving Nia the care she needed. Amina led them forward, and soon several wildlife experts emerged from the tent, ready to assess Nia's condition and provide immediate assistance. The villagers carefully lowered her onto a soft bed of blankets prepared for her arrival. With gentle hands, the wildlife experts began examining Nia, while reassuring both her and Caleb that she would receive comprehensive care. Caleb stood back momentarily, taking in the scene. The teamwork displayed by all those who had come together for this lioness was nothing short of remarkable. Nia was now in good hands. It was clear that every effort made that night had been worth it. The villagers had shown bravery in confronting challenges that most would shy away from out of fear. Together, they had forged a bond built on compassion, a bond that would be remembered as a testament of hope amid nature's unpredictability. As whispers of gratitude filled the air around them, Caleb couldn't help but smile at how far they had come. All united for one extraordinary lioness and the fragile lives she carried within. As the villagers gently carried Nia through the dusky savanna, a mix of emotions surged among them, an exhilarating combination of hope and relief. The journey back to safety felt both urgent and surreal. The night sky, adorned with twinkling stars, served as a serene backdrop to their powerful mission, contrasting with the anxiety that had gripped Caleb and the villagers just hours earlier. Caleb remained focused on Nia's well-being, his heart filled with a protective instinct as he helped guide her delicate frame. He could feel the warmth radiating from her body, and despite her initial apprehension, there was now a hint of trust in her amber eyes. As they moved together, he whispered soft reassurances to her, reminding her that help was on the way. "You're strong, Nia," he soothed. "We're almost there." With each step taken, a renewed sense of purpose enveloped all who were involved in the rescue operation. The villagers exchanged encouraging words with one another as their feet trekked over uneven ground. They moved in unison, like a well-rehearsed dance, each villager taking care to maintain a steady rhythm while keeping their voices low and soothing. Around them lay the vast expanse of the savanna, shadows casting eerie shapes under the pale moonlight. With each rustle from nearby grasses or distant animal calls, Caleb felt a pang of urgency ripple through him. It seemed both nature and fate were aware of this poignant moment unraveling before them. As they navigated toward the makeshift medical area set up by wildlife experts, Caleb noticed how Amina guided them confidently through familiar paths, her experience unmistakable in her movements. It occurred to him that these villagers held not only compassion, but also wisdom drawn from years spent living in harmony with nature. They deeply understood the land that surrounded them. Nia's breathing steadied slightly as they forged ahead, a good sign that she was responding favorably to both their support and the soothing songs flitting through the air from nearby villagers. Each gentle melody added an echo of calmness to their mission, the kind that seemingly bridged the gap between predator and prey amid vibrant life woven into this canvas called home. "Just hold on a little longer," Caleb encouraged softly, while maintaining eye contact with Nia. He had come too far at this point not to remain hopeful about her recovery. Minutes turned to what felt like hours, but finally came that delightful moment when they rounded a corner and saw faint lights flickering ahead. The welcoming glow from lanterns illuminating an area where experts awaited. A collective sigh breathed relief, mixed with exhilaration, swept across the group as they approached more closely. Soon, wildlife specialists emerged from under canvas tents. They looked ready and eager for action amidst curious eyes scanning their surroundings. "Set her down here," Amina instructed gently as Caleb carefully helped lower Nia onto another soft bed of blankets prepared specifically for her arrival. The expert team moved quickly yet skillfully at this juncture. Hands worked deftly alongside reassuring words as they began assessing Nia's condition. Caleb stepped back momentarily, yet remained present enough to watch every movement unfold before him. Curious hearts racing together, mirrored beneath those charming stars shifting overhead, like distant witnesses participating in an extraordinary moment, woven together by lives entwined. Nia seemed to acknowledge their efforts too, her weary features reflecting fragile courage against tender kindness. And it touched Caleb deeply when she finally relaxed into their care, as if understanding that she was safe now. As assessment started on Nia's health, followed by suggestions regarding immediate treatment plans for her and unborn cubs, which prompted further murmurs among villagers. Caleb glanced around him at people who had risen above any initial fears or reservations. An embodiment of humanity united behind purpose, sparked from empathy. A feeling of accomplishment coursed through him, knowing every effort made that night had coalesced into something significant. They championed compassion against odds impossible without hesitance shown during respective acts throughout this journey. Now under these shimmering skies, filled with glimmers of hope, echoing nourished lives soon destined for rebirth. A future interwoven with survival stories, yet told within generations, waiting still within nature's grasp. Once Nia was securely placed in the makeshift medical area, the wildlife experts wasted no time in assessing her condition. Caleb stood off to the side, heart racing with a mixture of anxiety and hope as he watched them examine the lioness. The soft glow of lanterns illuminated the scene, casting a warm light over the group as they worked diligently to provide her with care. A seasoned veterinarian knelt beside Nia and gently examined her abdomen, carefully feeling for any signs of distress. "She's showing signs of dehydration and exhaustion," he noted, looking up at Amina and Caleb. "We need to provide her with fluids and some nourishment to help her regain strength." Caleb felt an overwhelming swell of gratitude and compassion for everyone involved. This was not just a moment of crisis. It was a profound convergence of lives dedicated to preserving life itself. As he stepped closer, he could see Nia responding positively to the expert's gentle touch. Her breathing steadied slightly as she began to relax into their care, allowing hope to blossom within him. "Is there anything I can do?" Caleb asked, his voice steady as he addressed the veterinarian. "Yes," came the prompt response. "We need someone to fetch water from the river. It will help us give her electrolytes and rehydrate her more effectively." "I'll go," Caleb said without hesitation. He turned on his heel and rushed back toward the riverbank, suddenly feeling energized by the urgency of their mission. Each step felt purposeful as he recalled how close Nia had been to succumbing to exhaustion earlier that evening. When he reached the river, Caleb filled his container with cool water before making his way back. As he hurried through the tall grasses, thoughts raced through his mind. What would become of Nia and her cubs? Would they thrive or face more challenges ahead? Closing this distance felt like a race against time. Upon returning, Caleb handed over the water eagerly to the veterinarian. "Here you go," he exclaimed breathlessly. "Thank you," said the vet gratefully while mixing it with nourishing supplements specifically formulated for recovering wild animals. As he worked swiftly yet skillfully, Amina stood beside Caleb, watching intently as they all rallied around Nia. The villagers remained united in support. Some offered soft words of encouragement, while others assisted in preparing additional blankets for warmth or adjusting equipment necessary for monitoring Nia's health. The atmosphere was charged with determination. Every individual present understood that this moment transcended fear. It resonated deeply as a testament of hope held together by community spirit. As minutes passed that felt like hours under dimming lights, Caleb caught sight of Nia stirring again, a small movement manifesting great courage beneath fragile exterior layers she wore, like armor against adversity. Suddenly, a low rumble echoed from deep within her, as if calling forth new life, nestled within her belly. The vet looked up instinctively at this sound. The sense that nature itself was poised for something remarkable left him smiling knowingly. Not long after feeding Nia small amounts of rehydrating fluid intermittently, coupled with gentle encouragement spoken by all, it became clear she was responding well. Her energy levels rose visibly, even when exhaustion still lingered around edges like shadows, trying desperately to retreat. A few villagers began softly singing again, their harmonies enveloping everyone present alongside fresh air imbued with healing intentions meant for recovery flowing freely between them all at once. Human kindness merged seamlessly alongside animal resilience, echoing profoundly through what might one day be viewed as timeless representation, combining bonds formed during crisis, spent under these starlit skies stretching infinitely above. Then came a flicker of movement, a ripple traveling across Nia's side, indicating that life stirred inside her once more. Hearts swelled with excitement at this promising sign, each villager leaning closer as if brimming with anticipation about what results awaited them. When everything came full circle in moments reserved just for such breathtaking encounters, connecting various lives together amidst nature's deeper purpose. As days passed, following initial rescue operation efforts toward nurturing both mother lioness and eventually tiny cubs born into this world, alongside other creatures forging ahead beyond boundaries defined merely by species alone. They embraced transformation alongside collective healing. Caleb found himself among those involved, not only following success stories narrated throughout neighboring communities, but also cocooned tenderly within friendships anchored in shared experiences reflecting humanity, brightened against wild beauty, illuminating landscapes enveloped by limitless wonder, waiting ever present beyond horizons, ever turning towards tomorrow. As dawn broke over the savannah, a warm golden light began to illuminate the landscape. The night's challenges faded into memory as Caleb stood outside the makeshift medical area, watching the wildlife experts tend to Nia. The gentle hum of life returning to normalcy washed over him, and a sense of gratitude filled his heart. He could hear the soft rustle of the grass in the morning breeze and see the sun rising slowly over the horizon, painting the sky in brilliant hues. Caleb took a moment to reflect on everything that had transpired. The fear, uncertainty, and ultimately, the sense of hope that emerged through collaboration. It was astonishing how a single act of kindness could ripple outwards, creating waves of positive change that extended beyond just one individual. His thoughts turned to Nia and her unborn cubs. Would they thrive now that she was safe? Those tiny lives held promise, symbolizing resilience and strength even in adversity. The villagers gathered nearby, sharing relieved smiles and laughter as they swapped stories of their heroic efforts during the rescue mission. Caleb couldn't help but feel inspired by their bravery and unity. Their willingness to confront fear and venture into the unknown for the sake of another living being was a powerful reminder of what it meant to be human. "Did you see how she responded?" Amina said with excitement in her voice as she joined Caleb under the shade of an acacia tree. "You could tell she relaxed when we lifted her. It was like she knew we were there to help." "Yes," Caleb replied, nodding as he recalled Nia's gradual transformation from fearfulness to trust. "It's remarkable how quickly she seemed to understand our intentions." He paused, reflecting deeply. "This experience has taught me that showing kindness can truly change lives, even in unexpected situations." Amina smiled at him knowingly. "Nature has its own ways of teaching us valuable lessons," she said, glancing back toward Nia, who now rested peacefully under the watchful eyes of experts. "We must continue to honor these messages." Caleb felt a swell of respect for Amina and the villagers who had joined him in this journey. how each person had played a role in ensuring Nia's safety and care. He considered how isolated he had felt before this adventure began. Now, he was part of something larger, a family bound not by blood, but by compassion. Can you imagine if Nia gives birth here? Amina mused aloud. What a celebration it would be for all of us. The thought brought warmth to Caleb's heart. Envisioning that moment sparked hope deep within him. Together, they continued watching as wildlife experts prepared Nia for her next steps toward recovery. In that moment, he realized that experiencing unexpected trials often unfolded doors leading to opportunities for growth, for both individuals and communities alike. There was courage hidden behind every action taken during their rescue. Confronting fears while nurturing life through compassion shone through brightly against all odds faced together. Caleb reached for Amina's shoulder with gratitude shining in his eyes. "Thank you for guiding us through this," he said sincerely. "I could never have done this without you and your community." Together, we found strength where there once was doubt. Amina replied warmly, her eyes mirroring his appreciation. And today we celebrate our unique ability to connect with one another through kindness. As they returned their focus toward Nia, who occasionally stirred beneath blankets with signs of recovery mounting steadily, hope blossomed throughout everyone present. A celebration not just for Nia alone, but for lives intertwining across boundaries defined merely by nature itself. The sun rose higher into the sky as birds began singing sweet melodies above them. Life continued onward amidst these moments, where understanding shone through brighter than any fear they once grappled with together. Ultimately, this encounter had become so much more than rescuing a lioness. It was about embracing courage found unexpectedly while cultivating bonds woven from shared experiences meant for nurturing futures waiting along horizons still unfolding.